Breakthrough.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we're rolling.
We're rolling.
Because we don't have our stage hand today with us. So we have to do everything ourselves.
She's too busy.
And we're still not that proficient in video editing, but we will be when the time comes.
It's not important at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
Content is king.
Exactly. So welcome back to Two Wacky Pundits, Dr. D and Dr. A.
We have a treat for you today.
So what do we got?
We have this book.
Okay, so we have our second book review. Our first one was about suicide. So
and the second one is about prostitution.
All right. I know of a couple of people who would love to hear about it. So
yes, absolutely. And this is
an
autobiography.
Right now. Mm-hmm.
This is an autobiography of this very interesting and beautiful and resourceful woman, Sydney Biddle-Barrows.
Biddle-Barrows.
This is an old book.
Sounds like
this
a porn.
This was written in the 80s.
So you Biddle-Barrow, you said?
Biddle-Barrows.
This sounds like a poor name in itself. Sydney Biddle-Barrows.
When the book came out, the media made a big fuss out of it because this is actually one of the oldest families in America.
Or like the Rothschild and stuff like that.
Yeah, just like that. And they thought they had a lot of money, when in fact they were practically destitute at that point. And she entered the business of the escort service business to make some money. Okay. She was making quite a lot of dough at the time.
I can imagine. Before
she got busted.
Making the money while doing escort services.
Services.
So it's not like she had a lot of cash
but before she had experience in the fashion business, which she brought to bear on the escort service.
So she picked up basically
She picked up a lot of skills.
So
models
used as escorts.
In fact, her escort service.
It sounds like the story of Bernstein.
Yes.
Or Epstein.
Epstein, that's right. Epstein. I was racking my brains.
It's not convincing. I'm mixing them up between Epstein and Weinstein, because Weinstein is the producer who used to molest the.
Weinstein was that other guy. Yeah.
Okay, so details.
And,
So she started her job when? In the 80s?
Yes, she started the escort business in the 80s. It was called Cachet. She chose the name to provide an elegant undertones to the whole enterprise.
To make it less whorish.
And to make it less whorish. And she chose as her girls some of the most beautiful girls in the States.
Okay.
This is actually a fact, and if you go on YouTube and look it up, you confirm it for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And she charged quite a lot of money for her services. She would keep 60
grand an hour.
Sometimes, if you were a sea girl, the sea girls were the top tier.
Okay.
Of the most beautiful.
Okay, so not C.
Sea girls, she used to call them.
Why? Because of the cup size or something like that?
No, I don't know. Because she leaves a lot of things to the imagination.
It's a word classifier. Okay.
In fact, her stage name was Sheila Devin. She used an alter ego.
All right.
In her business,
So she started again when? You know what year?
In the 80s.
Late, middle?
It was early 80s.
And when did it all go up in smoke?
All right, I think she started it in 1979 and it went up in smoke in 1984. Very ominous when you consider the name of the book.
I was curious to see if Charlie Sheen used the services or not.
No, I don't know.
Because he used to brag a lot about them. Good for him anyway.
She bragged that she had a lot of business, you know when? Because this was based in New York.
So during the boom of Wall Street?
During the National Assembly of the United Nations. General Assembly. Really? That's where she used to have most customers.
All the international statesmen?
All the international statesmen, the diplomats, the do-gooders.
Right.
They would all go to their hotel room and ring up cachet for their...
for the services.
Yeah, for their...
Okay, so how did she get bust? She was making too much cash for someone, for competition, or...
She made enemies.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of her girls turned against her because she had exacting standards. For instance, she wanted them to wear to act in a certain way and wear certain clothes and be substantial and be stylish. she wasn't providing, as she describes it, she wasn't providing sex for the customer, because the sex, the nitty-gritty as she calls it, went on for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. The rest of the hour was just companionship.
Yeah. Okay.
So she was offering really companionship.
Okay.
She was offering therapy. It was like a social, it was a social service.
Yeah.
She made enemies. There was a girl who turned against her. I think her name was Eliza. She was a bit of a crackhead. She used to wear like clothes like a refugee, and she gave a bad image to the company.
Okay.
And she tried reforming her, but when she couldn't, she kicked her out, and that was the end of it. Her business started going under. A lot of flyers started popping up around the city, demeaning and degrading the whole organization. And then there was a big bust. The Vice Squad got into a personal vendetta against her.
Okay.
And she was ruined at that point.
Yeah.
And
did she end up in jail, or?
She ended up in jail for a few days, I think.
Days? Oh, that's
for a few days.
Okay.
But because she managed to pony up the cash.
She lost all the cash.
She lost it, of course.
Oh, that's another classic story of crime does not pay. Although, in this case, it's arguable whether it's crime.
It's a cautionary tale, really.
But yeah.
It tells you really how much money is being wasted every day to police the private transactions of people.
Yeah.
Like George Carlin said, if sex is legal and selling is illegal, why isn't selling sex legal? Mm-hmm. Why shouldn't it be legal? I mean, why all this policing going on? It costs about, in her estimation in the book, it costs about $3,000 to arrest one call girl for one night.
Oh, well, Jesus.
So,
that is a waste of cash.
And many of the street girls, many of the call girls who are not that exclusive, are picked up by the cops about 3 times a week. So imagine how much money is being wasted going down the drain.
$9,000 per hooker per week.
If you gave the money to the girls, that money,
yeah,
you would keep them off the street.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, retire.
They could retire and they could build families.
Yeah. So, all right.
She presents a very rosy picture of her time in the agency, and the girls really looked up.
Well, yeah, she's probably portraying it as a business model, no?
Yes, and she still does. She still appears a few times a year. She's still a very handsome woman.
I know of another similar book, but not that large scale. I forgot the name. It's about a medical student, lady medical student in London, and in order for her to pay for medical school, she had to, she ended up being an escort, and basically it was her book of memoirs, but I do not remember the title of the book, I'm afraid. I'll try and look it up, and if I find it, I'll put the link down below. It's another true life story.
There was also another book.
The ends justifies the means, basically, in order for her to get through medical school.
Norma Jean Almodovar, who wasn't in medical school, but was a cop.
Okay.
And she became a prostitute.
Oh wow! What on the other side?
And she, instead of a corrupt cop, she became, in her words, an honest whore.
This is amazing. You have to send me that book.
I just ordered her book from abebooks.com.
From cop to whore. Okay. Wow, crazy.
Interesting people.
Yeah.
These are the most interesting people. The people on the wrong side of the fence.
Yeah, because it doesn't mean that they're stupid or anything like that.
The ones with all the good stories.
Are really smart.
The ones with all the good stories.
We're going to have to throw a disclaimer here. And we're not advocating that everyone goes into crime because it actually pays. In this case,
it doesn't pay.
As in most cases, it does not pay.
Because they ruined her.
But we don't want to glamorize it either. Okay, we're just saying it as it is. But yeah, some of these characters, I mean, even if you watch the mainstream series like Breaking Bad or anything like that, like, you know.
Crime is glamorism. That's the reason.
So, and a lot of people get sucked into it because of that.
Yes.
So, because it can be glamorous, especially in the first one, you're making lots of money and having fun. Until shit hits the fan. Then Then you have
There's also episodes of gonorrhea in the book.
I'm sure there are.
There, one of the clients had gonorrhea and didn't tell the girls, and it spread like wildfire.
Well, the worst part would be nowadays is HIV, no? Because HIV it had begun.
It
in
wasn't that well known at the time.
People were still unknown.
Yeah, people were still a bit.
So it was dangerous.
Yeah, definitely. Gonorrhea and VD were the soup du jour at the time.
So, want to show the viewers again the title for our audience?
Of course,
or
why not?
Bedtime reading.
If you want to read a book, folks, read a good one like this. It will stay with you, and you'll learn something.
I love the line. Yes, I totally agree.
Something.
I totally agree.
Don't waste your time
on crappy novels
or these chick lit books.
No, the ones that you find in these jumble sale bins and stuff like that.
Yeah, I know.
It's like the 2-pence romance books, I call them.
Just pick a good one. Just do some research. It always pays off.
Cool. All right. So I think we're done for today.
Yes.
Again, if you have any comments, guys, just let us know.
Please bash us if you need to.
Yes, we are still waiting for our first troll. We can't wait to kick his ass or her ass.
Sure.
Because we don't discriminate.
We're an equal opportunities employer.
Exactly. Okay, so thanks again for joining us, and see you next week.
God be with you.
Indeed. Bye.